My name is Laurie Rupert Engel, and this is the introduction to my leading video. For the video, I chose to use video option number 2, which was under standard 24. The directions for the video were that I would lead a meeting with ELA teachers, ESL/foreign language teachers, history teachers, and a community member, and that we would develop and implement a project addressing cultural diversity or social issues on our campus. For this video, the time period that it actually fit into, it was right before the holidays, and I was kind of leery of actually asking teachers to get involved in a project that wasn't something that was already on their plate, since a lot of our teachers are pretty bogged down right now with different committees, different activities, and their classroom responsibilities as well. So what I started doing was thinking about ways that we could incorporate this video, or ways that we could incorporate a project into something that we already had on our plate. One of the units that the English 8 team tackles in the spring, it's our third 9 weeks unit, is the Holocaust. And I started thinking about ways that the Holocaust could meet the requirements for this video. Our school is culturally diverse, but not as much so as many people would like to believe. We have issues with insensitivity when it comes to different cultures, different religions. Specifically right now, some of our Muslim students are feeling a backlash after the Paris attacks and the attacks in California recently. Due to these students and some of the things that they're experiencing, some of the teachers and I started talking about how the Holocaust, some of the major questions that came out of the Holocaust were, how could this happen, and why do we study this? Why is it important to learn about the Holocaust? Those are two questions that our students ask every single year when we study this. So that got me thinking, the Holocaust unit, why do we study the Holocaust? Why did it happen? Those questions that keep popping up year after year. And then the issues that we're seeing right now with some of our kids experiencing racial slurs, negativity about the fact that they are a Muslim and very proud to be Muslim. I started thinking about how, one of our readings for our Holocaust unit says that the reason that when a man that was an actual Nazi, he was a Hitler Youth, he says that one of the reasons why the Holocaust happened was because no one stood up. And there's a book that we read, a children's book actually, about the Holocaust called Terrible Things, and the whole question that keeps running through that, or the statement that keeps running through that was, they came for this group first and I said nothing, and they came for this group next and I said nothing, and then they came for me and nobody said anything. And so these thoughts were running through my head, and I thought it might be an interesting way to use this, a project where the students, where they take other examples of ethnic cleansing, other examples of genocide, other examples of where something escalated to the point where there was mass murder, and they were able to tie that into the Holocaust. Maybe that might help some students with sensitivity. That might make them a little more sensitive to the fact that other students, that diversity is not bad, that differences are not bad, but when you allow that fear of the unknown to cloud your judgment, and you do nothing, and in fact you, I don't know, seemingly accept and agree with other people who are using hate speech, then you're actually part of the problem as well. What we did was, for our meeting, I was able, as the department head here at Ford Middle School, I was able to easily, my team was great, and were very willing to work with me. On our team, we have English teachers and we have ESL teachers on our team, so that fit the requirement for two of the groups that needed to be involved. We also had our district instructional specialist who comes in, who is not on our campus, but comes in once a month to check in. She was excited about working with us as well. She is a community member. She is a parent in the community as well. I had another community member who was going to come in, but at the last minute she wasn't able to attend. And the history teacher, the history department head, was not able to attend, but she did send some information for us to use for the meeting. And when we implement this project in the spring, she is looking forward to also including her history classes in it as well. One of the ways that the history department was thinking of tying in was they do a study of the Trail of Tears and the American attitudes towards Native Americans. And this is a great example of, ethnic cleansing and the attitudes of the Jackson administration towards the Native Americans. You can see you can make lots of comparisons between that and Hitler in Germany, in Nazi Germany. Our teachers
Jared, there's another puddle. Can you go check? David Jared to the gym foyer.
Our teachers, our English teachers specifically, started talking about pitfalls that we might have during this project in the video. One of the things that we're most concerned with is the children's maturity level. In the past, we've had very mature 8th graders who were had very good conversations, very good thoughts about the Holocaust. This year we've seen a lack of maturity in our students, so much so that it concerns us to open up discussions in class. I mean, I've already had students, I had a girl that I talk about in the video who has been told that, who's been criticized and ostracized because of her religious beliefs. And she's had a lot of issues with bullying this year. So we were worried about the children's maturity level. So in order to work with that, but to still also present this idea of cultural diversity, and we're going to use our online classroom, which is called Canvas. It's similar to Blackboard. We're going to use Canvas as a platform to present our nonfiction articles, different news articles for the kids, so that they can read them in a at-home environment or a flipped classroom environment. They're going to be reading these articles and reflecting on them and making comparisons between the information in the articles and our study of the Holocaust. We're also going to open up the possibility of using another for their lit circles. They have book talks or lit circles that they do over the Holocaust. In the past, we've always used different Holocaust novels, but they can use a novel, say, about Darfur or the Sudan or the Trail of Tears. They can use those novels if they like for their book talks. The reflections and the reactions and comparisons between nonfiction articles and the Holocaust will be done through Canvas, through a discussion board on Canvas. We're able to limit it so that only the teacher sees the discussion. And we've also talked about taking this further and having taking different examples of genocide and ethnic cleansing throughout history, and dividing it up so that students have one specific example, and they will be using that to create posters for the school. Our principal is interested in posters for the school that draw comparisons between the Holocaust and those other examples. We're really looking forward to implementing this in the spring. It'll be the first year, so it might be a little dicey, and we'll see how it goes. For now, we're just going to stick primarily to our advanced students, our pre-AP students, and our GT students. We will decide later in the years to come if we want to expand this to other students. One of the things that we've also talked about that we need to be very careful of is this idea of letting the students have their opinions on things, but also being able to rein that in, especially with the anti-Muslim sentiment that's going on right now in our country. We need to be very careful with this, because some of the teachers are seeing how Donald Trump, for example, his rhetoric, his anti-Muslim rhetoric right now we're drawing comparisons in our own minds between that and, Nazi Germany, Hitler in particular. Even news organizations are drawing comparisons between the two at this point. And so being able to see that, but also being very careful with that, because we want to make sure that we are not we're not opening a door here for a project like this where we might end up having more problems, and instead of getting the students to become more aware of diversity and more sensitive and more mature, they actually end up going the opposite direction, and we see more immaturity, more insensitivity. That would be just completely against what we're trying to do with this project. So we might stick more with historical and rather try to keep current events a little bit at bay here. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video, and thank you for watching.